My name is Celeste Bishop. I'm 29 now. 11 years ago, 3 days before my 18th birthday, my parents canceled my party because my older sister cried that it made her feel less special. I moved out that same night. 2 duffel bags, a coffee tin with $1,300 in it, and 1 phone call to the only adult who had ever paid me on time. What happened 1 year later, at my grandmother's 80th birthday, in the middle of a flower field I'd planted with my own hands, is the part of this story my family still won't say out loud. My sister stood in that field, looked at everything I'd built, and came apart in front of 30 relatives. The crack that put in our family has never closed. But here's what none of them understood. I wasn't the one who broke us. I just stopped holding the pieces together. Welcome to Lineage of Lies. If you've ever been the one who was fine on her own, this one's for you. Comment below when we reach the field, you'll know the moment. And subscribe, because this family isn't done unraveling. Our house ran like a hospital. Whoever bled loudest got everything, the money, the attention, both parents at once. My sister Brianna always bled loudest. I was 7 the first time I did the math. My school recital fell the same night Brianna, 10, developed a stomach ache that vanished by 9. Nobody came to hear me sing. My mother explained it in the car, calm as a teller counting bills. Your sister needed us. I'm sure you did fine. They never hit me. I was fed, clothed, driven to school. But in the Bishop house, fine wasn't a feeling, it was a job assignment. I was hired at 7 and never got a day off. My father was the only one who saw it. The summer I turned 15, he found me weeding my grandmother's flower beds and said, out of nowhere, 18 is yours, kiddo. Whatever you want. I promise. I planted that promise deeper than anything I ever put in soil. That was my mistake. It took 3 years to grow into the worst night of my life. Brianna wasn't cruel by nature, she was built that way. From the crib she was told she was fragile, so fragile is what she became. Needing things was her whole identity, the same way not needing things was mine. Neither of us chose our casting. At 14 I started working weekends at a greenhouse on the edge of town for a woman named June Hollis, 63, built like a fence post, incapable of flattery. She paid me in wages and blunt advice, which is to say she paid me more than my family ever had. By 17 I'd saved over $9,000, 3 years of Saturdays, sitting in an account my mother had to co-sign. I asked to open my own. After your birthday, sweetheart, she said. Then she said it again in June. And August. I noticed. I want that on the record, I noticed. So I started skimming my own harvest, hiding 20s in a coffee tin behind my winter boots. By September it held $1,300. I told myself I was being paranoid. I wasn't. I was being slow. The party I'd planned was small, string lights, a chocolate sheet cake, 15 folding chairs in my grandmother's yard. 18 was also a doorway. I'd been accepted into a state agricultural program, and past that, blurry but real, was the only future I'd ever wanted, a flower farm with my name on it. My grandmother had put that shape in my head, walking me past her dahlias that August. Flowers don't apologize for taking up a bed, she said. Notice that. I did. I noticed it the way you notice a door standing open. 3 weeks before my birthday, Brianna announced a new program in another city. Very exclusive, very urgent, needed a deposit immediately or her spot would go to someone whose family believed in her. For days before my birthday, she came home from it at 1 in the morning, 11 days after leaving. By breakfast the house had rearranged its gravity around her. That evening I heard my mother in the hallway, planning voice on, telling my aunt what was best for the family. Then, quieter, not meant for me, well, she's got her whole life for parties. Saturday morning my mother sat on my bed with 2 mugs of cocoa and her gift-wrapping voice. With everything your sister's going through, a party would just rub salt in it. It would break her. I asked when my turn was scheduled. I asked to see the calendar. Her face flickered, then settled. Oh, Celeste. Don't be dramatic. You've always been fine on your own. There it was. The family constitution, read aloud at last. That evening the bakery called to confirm changes on my order. Same cake, new pickup date, new inscription, welcome home, Brianna. My party hadn't been postponed. It had been harvested for parts. I didn't rage. I didn't beg. I packed 2 duffel bags, boots, work clothes, the county ribbon I'd won for a garden design, 15 invitations I'd never sent. I dug out the coffee tin. I made one phone call. June Hollis listened for 10 seconds. Loft over the seed room has a bed. Rent's $40 a month. Come or don't. I came down the stairs with the bags on my shoulders. My mother looked at them and chose irritation over alarm. Don't be theatrical, Celeste. My father followed me to the porch and pressed $60 into my hand. Call your grandmother Sundays, he said. He didn't say don't go. We both heard him not say it. 3 days later I turned 18 over a grocery store cupcake. Wednesday morning I went to collect my savings, and the account showed $912. $8,500 had been withdrawn 3 weeks earlier, right when Brianna's, very exclusive, deposit came due. Every stall my mother had given me finally made sense. She hadn't forgotten to co-sign. She'd kept the gate open until she was done using the field. It was completely legal. A joint account belongs to both names on it. My mother spent 3 years of my Saturdays on a program my sister quit in 11 days. By Sunday, the family had a story already circulating. That I'd thrown a tantrum over a party and abandoned my sister in crisis. I didn't call and argue it. Arguing with my mother in front of her audience was an away game against a Hall of Famer. I decided my side would have to grow up out of the ground, where nobody could talk over it. That October my grandmother drove out to the greenhouse with a shoebox of dahlia tubers her family had kept alive for decades. Plant them somewhere they'll get looked at, she said, and left before I could thank her properly. I made it to her taillights before I finally broke down, and I want you to notice that. Being robbed hadn't managed to crack me. Being handed something did. I worked 2 jobs that winter and planted those tubers behind the greenhouse, in a plot nobody else used. I told myself it was practice. It wasn't. It was a plan. 1 year later, my grandmother turned 80. The party was in that same field, my field, thick with dahlias in full bloom by then, deep crimson, exactly like the ones on her own fence line. 30 relatives came. My mother arrived expecting a quiet, forgiven daughter standing on the family's terms. She got a field she didn't recognize, grown by a daughter she'd written off as fine on her own. And when Brianna walked that row and understood, all at once, in front of everyone, whose hands had built it, she came apart exactly the way I once had, quietly, on a porch, with nobody watching. Except this time, everybody was watching. I didn't gloat. I didn't have to. I just kept walking my grandmother down the row, one arm under hers, while the family that spent 18 years telling me I needed nothing finally watched me need nothing from them at all. Here's what I learned, and what I want you to take with you tonight. The people who call you fine on your own aren't complimenting your strength. They're billing you for it. You don't owe anyone a lifetime of being easy to forget. If this story hit close to home, hit record on your own story in the comments. I read every one. And subscribe, because Lineage of Lies isn't finished. There's always another family with something buried in the yard.